Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey. Good morning.
I like that.
If you don't mind. Thank you.
You know that French today? There it is. Last question.
Get this. Thank you. Yay. Got it. Would be working.
William.
Yeah, I believe it.
Unaffected boss. Huh? That's just scary.
Really? I mean, you know how many people haven't died? Like a last survivor. Or that TV show called? The Lone Survivor? Hello?
Lone survivor.
No, the one that's-
Secretary of Housing becomes
Yeah.
president.
the designated survivor. That's what it is. He's on our TV address. Well, it appears to be live. We only have the
Yes, we are.
Okay. Well, we got 7, so let's do this thing. Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the Valentine's Day board meeting. Thank you all for all coming. Let's see here. I'm gonna figure out here with, one quick thing, we amended some minutes for January 10th. Up to the Florida Texas Fire Department. Just about who the new chief and assistant, the hierarchy and all around what we did the last month. Jeff wrote some information that's in there. It will be amended in the minutes. Clear Creek Conservancy.
First, I'd just like to thank everybody who voted at our election. We didn't have very many votes, but we had more than what we normally have, so I guess we made a little bit of progress. Also, we're still bundling through the government bureaucracy trying to get some grant money for the conservancy. I think the last time they told me anything that we should know something about the American Rescue sometime around the 1st of April. The ready plan was supposed to be done in December, and we haven't heard anything. They're still having meetings, whatever that means. So our next meeting is Thursday morning at 10 o'clock.
Thank you.
Fire.
Ross, yes, sorry for coming out of three.
We won't vote on it.
Our road breakdown is last month we responded to 2 fires, 4 motor vehicle accidents, 6 public assistance calls, 2 false alarms, 11 medical calls. And we had 1 run on the stray unit in the house turned out to be chlorine. We water heaters and chlorine and overdid it. We had to ventilate the house to 2 in the morning. That's taken care of. Anyway, that's for the 26th month.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you. River Watch, April. Moving right on, April 6th, Rick.
A couple of quick things for you. First of all, Rachel Goss did most of the February highlights, and she's doing all of the March highlights. So will be. I did notice on the way in, some of the blue dispensers for February are empty. I'll fill those up tomorrow. And speaking a little bit HLCS because I'm doing it, and a little bit for the Lake Committee. The testing for the watercraft operating permit for this season has begun. And I think we've had about 80 people pass the test so far this year. Got some feedback though on one of the questions, happened to be the one talking about the 16, 15 and under rules. And so we just recently revised the question and answers for that one to make it more clear. We still need to know the rules to be able to answer right. But we think going forward should remove any questions. That's all I got.
We'd like to serve that in our watch next week. Okay. April, so your neighborhood watch, a lot of things.
all the help from the chili cook-off, everyone that came out, enjoyed in the fun. It was nice to see everyone socializing and relaxing. Thanks again to the 10 crop pot increase. Very nice was the Gold Bowl winner for 2022, and the raffle basket went to Alyssa Morse.
Jump down to Helmer. Anybody? Oh, let's go first. So, Mr. Helmer, U.S. Security.
We assisted with one disabled vehicle that was a road hazard. We had one assault, 4 citizen assist, 4 vehicle accidents that were property damage only, 3 domestic disturbances, 2 arrests on felony warrants, 4 other paper services, and we've assisted another agency on 1 case. 3 theft reports, 11 traffic stops, 4 arrests in total. We've assisted on a medical call. There's been a fraud complaint, criminal mischief complaint, 4 animal complaints, 2 operating while intoxicated arrests, 3 firearms complaints, 7 calls, 1 overdose, 1 trespassing complaint, a suspicious person, 2 alarms, car accident with injury, and 1 civil matter. Now we do it.
Everybody's busy. Everybody's busy. Well, thanks for being there. Going to Anita Johnson. No, thanks. No, right. Moving right on, presentation of agenda. That's not all, it's me. Representative minutes, do we have a project something? Maybe a motion. I mean, for the agenda. Okay, presentation of agenda, there's a motion. Second. All in favor? Presentation of minutes. January 10th board meeting with the amendments. On there.
Second.
All in favor?
I support the motion.
Second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's the January 31st board meeting.
I support the motion.
Second.
January 1st executive meeting.
Motion.
Passing around, all right.
Two garages, a dock that also had a permanent lift in it. And we had 2 additions for a total of 9. Other business that took place in January, just stating this rule 238, because apparently we had some issues with getting mailboxes out. So rule 238 says it's the responsibility of the builder or the owner to ensure that a mailbox is installed for any new home prior to obtaining Putnam County occupancy permit. We've had trouble, a few cases already where there hasn't been a mailbox. So this note will be added to the contractor's list of requirements that they get in the very beginning of about the dumpster, the portalet, siltation, those kinds of things. The wording will allow for a new homeowner the option of installing the mailbox themselves or having to pay a builder to do it. So, and it also came up, Rule 216, which is roof pitch. We came across a little issue on that.
He's got a meeting on his end.
Hey, Rick. I think it just.
I just went on mute, sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
Rule 216, we had a proposed change. That was brought about because of the house that's down there. I forget the address now, Patriots Landing. The very first house that's under construction. Part of it, the upper portion had a flat roof instead of a pitched roof. So we've changed it. All homes must have a 4 to 12 roof pitch. A&E reserves the right to consider a roof pitch less than 4 to 12 based on a unique design, style, and construction requirements of the home or addition or home alteration. It had already, you got my little note in there. This wording change will give the committee more leeway when considering designs of new homes. And the current rule had already allowed the consideration for additions and home alterations. So what we did is we added the word home. That's about it. And it was approved 7-0 by the A&E committee.
So
Everybody was in favor.
can I ask a clarification question? So the 412 was already a rule and we're just adding homes as far as something we're doing? for that?
To allow for a flat roof, for example, it was brought up that Frank Lloyd Wright could never build a home in here because a lot of his had flat roofs built into the design. They're actually, some of them are very attractive. That one will be too. So because of the wording, there was a bit of a problem. So we added the word home to that to allow us a leeway to change it for a particular case or a style as needed. So
Is it a problem to have a flat roof?
well, it can be. You have to have a membrane roof for a flat roof, to allow for the water. And it's not like they're not out here already. There are some, especially where there's been an addition or an alteration, change the look of the home. They already exist. So it's actually one right across from me that's quite old. So this was a particular, actually 2 flat roofs, one on the second story and one on the first story. It's actually a very attractive home. So, and it's not that we turned it down. It did get approved to start with, but a question came up when he was building it. So it's, that wording has been changed.
So we're just trying to avoid flat roofs. We don't care if the roof has a tall
Well,
pitch.
the purpose for flat roofs, it came up probably 30 years ago, maybe 40 years ago, to eliminate the possibility of someone putting a modular homes up in here, which are temporary homes that someone can live in full time, but it's, basically you could look at it almost like a rail car, with a flat roof. So, and it was really meant for that purpose right there. That's why the rule was there to start with.
Gotcha.
But really, any designs that come in will have to go through A&E for approval.
So you can still approve a taller pitched roof or a less pitched roof if you want to. This is just basically giving you.
It will depend upon the design of the house itself.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
And just for everybody's knowledge, we've started to A&E. We've got a person that goes out and checks different job sites. And as they start them, to make sure they got a dumpster there, if siltation is needed, a fence, that's in place, and then there's portalet. Mailbox would be towards the end, but we've already started doing that. We plan to make trips every month, once a month, to review some of these homes and basically the progress. So it's already found MS 254, had the foundation inspected a second time. First time, the house was over the line, so we had to redo it. And so we did the survey the second time, whereas he corrected the problem of the house was now behind the line, the building line. The garage was 6 feet over the line. So that brought on, we put together a variance form which had the violation portion attached to it, what happened. It was a violation, and the builder was contacted. The builder, rather than go for a variance, elected to go ahead and remove that 6 feet of the garage. So he had to remove 6 feet of the garage. It was sticking into the building line, and that's been corrected. So, and that completes my report for the month.
Kirk is here for campground. Did you have anything for campground?
Just the selection meeting on March 6th.
Sorry, I didn't want you to breeze through it since.
I was going to, so good call. Last right, is anybody else here for cleanup or government or lake or clean water? Okay. Jumping right along to Ms. Ramsey with long-term planning.
I was not able to go to the last meeting. My kids had so many basketball. No, I had Disney on Ice. I was in Disney on Ice last time. Priorities. But the next meeting is February 16th at 6 o'clock. I did send my husband to last month's meeting, and he said I think there were 4 people. So please, we need more people. Please come. February 16th at 6 o'clock. Day after tomorrow. Yes, 2 days.
Excellent. Siltation, Mr. Kelly.
Mike Kelly, 282 Quakers Lane. We still, our next meeting is March the 24th, which is the 4th Thursday of the month. We are going to clean out 2 coves this spring or summer, whenever Shannon works it into his schedule. And also, I'm asking Shannon for a cost estimate to clean out the North Silt Basin. It last was cleaned out in 2016. It's a little harder to judge what's happening up there. In the East Silt Basin, you can see the islands start building up by the deflection wall. The north one is all flat. You don't see the buildup, but from past experience, 5 or 6 years about all that we can
My kids get in there, and it's
get out
the
of
muck is pretty.
Yeah, that's about all we can get out of that silt basin up there. We did complete, and I think I reported last month, we did complete the siltation removal and clean up around the Lincoln Hills Pond.
Yep.
There was some comments about cleaning that one out, but what people don't think about is Washington Pond, Faker's Landing Pond, Jefferson Pond, and the Lincoln Hills Pond. They're silt basins. We didn't build them, they were there when the property was purchased, but they still serve the same purpose. So, and that one up there, as far as anybody knows, had not been touched since the property was taken over by the people who developed. But so, we got that cleaned out. They done a nice job. They cleaned some of the trees and stuff up, brush around. There's also, he's got to get back in this spring. When we asked him to take a look at it, he looked at it and he said the dam needed to be raised a foot. So he put some dirt on it before he left, but he wanted to wait till next spring, come out, work on it, seed it. And for everybody's information, if you look on the plat, there is about, I'm guessing, 8 to 10 feet of common ground all the way around that pond. So if it, if the lake committee or the POA would do some stocking on that this spring when they stock the lake, then that might be a nice little pond to take kids fishing to or something like that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Thank you.
All right. Election committee, Jim Muhlenbein. Anybody have anything for election?
If you want to announce the new candidates.
The new board member. Well, we had 3 open spots and we had 3 souls that decided they wanted to partake in becoming board members. One of them is President, Mr. Rick Miller. He's going to be a new board member here come the annual meeting. And we have Dennis Barrow and Jake Howard. So those 3 are coming on to do some good for the community. So that's exciting. And it saves the community money by not having an election. That was my treasurer part speaking. We're going to move on to the manager's report, Mr. Roselle.
All right, well, wish everybody happy Valentine's Day.
Same to you.
Hope everybody's heart's full of love. January 20th, we had our IU Purdue basketball party at the Haven Restaurant. For those that joined, thank you for a fun, competitive evening. Great crowd. There wasn't about 9:30, we looked around and there wasn't an empty seat in the house. Saturday, March 5th, we will be doing it again at the Haven. Hope to see you then. I think the time is right now is to be determined. One thing I really wanted to mention that March 5th.
Thank you.
Mark it on your calendar, Tom. I was a little disappointed you wasn't there with your heart at.
My heart wasn't.
Okay.
Better next time.
The recent ice and snowstorm that hit us February 2nd, 3rd. I'd like to thank the community for staying off the roads. I worked both of those nights, and believe it or not, there was not one slide off at the bottom of Gettysburg Hill. I believe this may be the first time that but anyway, thanks for staying home. I think the whole county did a really good job, because at one time, I think I had 2 calls out here. It was a life alert that was a false alarm. She wouldn't come to the door. It's a little eerie feeling to walk into somebody's house and not knowing what you're walking into, but she was upstairs and she came down. It was just a false alarm. And then we had a domestic situation that night, but other than that, the county was pretty quiet. A while back, I spoke about partnering with the Putnam County Library to add a storybook walk here at Heritage Lake, with the help of AJ and his company Stafford Works, digging the 20 holes needed. That we have set the 20 posts around the park area at the marina location. When weather breaks, the library will be out to finish the installation before spring, and an announcement will be made when it's completed. The library will be the responsible party for changing out the stories throughout the season. Believe it or not, we're just about 6 weeks away from the opening of the marina, March 22nd. It's on a Saturday. Due to the delays in the supply chain, I began spending a little bit of money a little earlier this year to receive product on time before the opening day. It was expressed also last year that the orange flags, that the dowel rods was a little too short. The supplier has made me 300 of them. That it's got a longer dowel rod, and they'll be delivered this week. Also, a reminder, boat testing is now available online, iPad in the office, and a hard copy in the office. Be proactive and save yourself some time, and you must pass with 80%. Assessment. 85, that's right. Assessment statements have been mailed out this year. The assessments is $271 per lot and are due on or before April 1st. As a finally, a reminder that last Saturday of this month, February 22nd, will be the year-end annual meeting. The meeting will be held downstairs promptly at 1:30. That's it.
You said 22nd.
No, I didn't. I said 26th.
Okay.
It was right there, Bruno.
Marino is on the 22nd.
What time, what would the hours be for the marina when it opens on the 22nd?
24/7.
24/7. It'll be the same as we did last year, 8 to 8.
8 to 8, okay.
Lois is gonna be.
8 to 8, 7 days a week, starting March
Yes.
22nd.
Exciting. It's boating season.
That seemed to work out really good last year. We kind of gave that a try, and by staying open till 8 o'clock and having 2 shifts instead of one really long shift. And it seemed to really work out for people getting home, not rushing to get gas and that kind of thing. So
I appreciated it, definitely.
All right, thanks, Ken. Old business, going to marina boat parking, that is once again me. I am really feeling good about myself. So I passed out. I got bedtime, go home, change, eat my dinner. Feeling good today. All right, I gave you guys at the last minute here, we had another proposal come in for Easy Docks. One of our longtime members here, Jason Hayes, who owns Cabin Fever Construction. He's built many of the docks on this lake. Is also an Easy Dock dealer. And he was actually able to slim down the price a little bit for us because of being a community member and wanting to, get the job if possible. So I handed you guys the proposals. He recreated both. I sent him just the description. So we had an apples to apples comparison as far as what the comparison was. He didn't have any of the numbers. He did this all on his own. So I guess it made me feel pretty good that the long and the short of it was Deaton's and him were pretty close, no matter what. He was about $350 cheaper on the first option and about $800 cheaper on the second option. No, maybe not that much. $600. $600 He also said that because we were looking for some sponsorship opportunities, like we had talked about, to sponsor for the docks or some sort of giving. He said obviously if he got the project, he'd be willing to donate $500 towards the smaller one or $1,000 towards the bigger one and put him in some sort of category of sponsorship. I know we hadn't done any numbers of how much donation was, but he decided that was a good idea for him and his business and everything. And like I said, he was already cheaper than Deaton's. He's already talked to Deaton's just because that's who he did it. Easy Dock comes from them. They get it shipped to them and then they ship it out here. So he just made them aware that, he was talking to us as well. So there's no bad feelings. He didn't care. Mike actually prefers it if someone local will take care of it, so then he doesn't have to send guys out if there's a problem.
Absolutely.
And Jason lives right here in Jefferson Valley, right back here from the clubhouse. So he'll be very close if we have any questions.
So just so I understand.
Yes.
He offered $500 off of this for for a sponsorship and $1,000 off of the higher one.
Correct. In addition to in addition to the amounts that he already discounted, he said if he gets into the sponsorship realm,
Okay.
it'd be 500 more for the small one or $1,000 more for the bigger one.
I guess, well,
So
we
he's
all
gonna
need,
reduce the price or just give us cash?
We could do either way. We could pay him and then he could give us money back. I mean, I would probably just reduce the prices if it was me, but
Right,
because that would probably reduce the tax of
he's
all.
gonna reduce the price and then we're gonna put the plaque up or whatever the
Correct.
donation recognition. And
probably the only thing
Unless
we would all
need
need to have to decide is how long that donation would last for.
Well,
Anybody.
that's part of the whole.
Is it a season? Is it for 5 years?
Right.
or, you
He
know,
was just throwing that out there as an option.
just so
because-
he's clear what he's
Right.
getting for his money.
And when I had talked to him about it, I said, well, he had asked where the money was coming from. And I said, well, we're gonna probably need to, well, we will need to solicit donations. And he said, oh, well, you know, this is what I could do on either one of these two parts of the project, if that's helpful. So yeah, I would assume it would. I don't know how that would work as far as like if he would need to write a check and we would charge the full amount, or if we would just reduce it. We could probably figure that out at game time. But we do need to come up with a couple designations of like donation amounts. If you donate X amount, you get this. We need to come up with that. I know Paul said he was working on some stuff. So, starting with Psalms and seeing what they would put forth as well, because obviously this is going to benefit them greatly. They did say though, because I talked to Mike and I talked to Jason, and both of them said that like we do have to make a decision fairly rapidly as far as locking in this number. This preseason number is not good till June because it will not be preseason anymore. So we do have to start the process of making decision if that's the route we want to go. And that was confirmed by Jason and by Mike Deaton on both their ends. That preseason number is not good forever.
Well, if you guys don't vote tonight, you've got the first vote coming in March, second vote coming in April.
Yeah.
So whenever they would start would be
I don't know.
end of May or end of April or first part of May.
Did we ever hear from that other quote? Paul had said there was somebody else that was coming in with another quote from Mooresville or something.
Oh,
Did we ever hear, or was their number?
no, I haven't received it. If he did.
Do you guys have any comments, questions, concerns about this while we're on it? Because like I said, we're gonna have to.
doesn't Nick Smith also do Easy Doc?
Maybe, I'm not sure. I don't know if he does Easy Doc or if he has another brand. We could ask him.
I think it was Easy Doc.
I think the other thing we also just need to remember too is it still is all coming from Easy Doc Mid-America.
Right.
So I can't imagine that,
It'd be that different.
I can't imagine that, I'm pretty sure whatever Jason is slicing off below what Easy Doc, like the ranch is slicing off, he's basically just cutting his own profit.
Sure.
I don't think he's getting a better deal on the parts and pieces because,
And Nick knows what we do with us because he was here the very first meeting we brought up.
yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, because some of the things on here were like the exact same number, you know, the piece of dock was $1,978 and it's $1,978. So that may be just the price that he's, you know, able to provide. Like that may be just what he's getting it for plus whatever he's making on it. Because like I said, he's not that much lower, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, $500 or $600 or $800 is still $500 or $600 or $800.
Yeah,
So
that's a community movement.
yeah, and it's somebody who lives here that, like I said, same deal. If we need assistance, he's right there. So
So I guess my next question is next step. I mean, we have these, we know that we need donations. What do we do now?
I mean, we can vote that this is what we want to do, pending the funding being available. Like, we could get to a consensus where, I believe it, Candy may correct me if I'm just way out there, but we can approve this pending funding in a motion, right?
You
And
can.
it basically says we want to go with the bigger dock or the smaller dock, and pending funding, and we get to have the first vote tonight. The second vote could technically be the March vote. I mean, that would be a different board than we have now, though. Is that a problem?
I did a second vote coming in.
Okay.
Rick, do you have 2 cents on that? Rick?
Unmute Rick.
From your budget, Ken, is there any line item in the 2022 budget that you could cover any of this?
Let me ask if we put a deposit now, if we could lock the price. I can ask Jason. He might know.
To answer your
Sorry,
question,
I couldn't get the mute option.
that's all right. Do you have any, your input on that?
I heard AJ say that the new board, actually, if this board would vote on it and the new board vote on it, there's no problem there.
So if this board made a motion and put in the first vote, there wouldn't be an issue with the new board putting in a second vote. And
No, But the only drawback to that, the new board needs to be brought up to speed on what you've done so far before you take a vote.
Yeah.
That's the only
You're
drawback.
gonna have to do that one way or the other, right? Whether it's the first vote or the second vote.
Right.
I couldn't hear what it said, if it was directed to me, sorry.
Sorry, I just said that bringing the new board members up to speed was gonna be a requirement, whether that be their first vote at the first meeting or their second vote at the first meeting.
That's exactly correct.
Thank you.
Mary Everett Miller here, so we're already 1/3 of the way there to explaining it.
Is there any reason that, I saw, I think it's a March 14th expiration date, that we can't just leave this to the new board?
You have to have 2 votes.
No, but again, with one vote, the first vote for the new board could simply say, we agree to this with this deposit, and then lock in the price.
If that's a possibility, I'm finding that.
Then all the new board would lose potentially would be the deposit if it didn't go through.
Is there anybody sitting at these tables here that thinks this is a bad idea?
I'm concerned about funding.
Well, that's what I'm saying, based on anything other than funding. Like, we're good with the design. From my understanding, I think we voted on the design we were good with.
I mean, in general, I still have concerns about, and when I say concerns, it's not like I just want to see it with the beach.
Right now, you want to see a picture right now of the water.
Well, you want to see the positioning, if you want me to
Yes.
take.
I don't want boats coming in around the beach.
Good point.
Well, and I think the design is something that
Well, the
we're gonna
swim
tweak.
The swim line's still gonna be out there. We're not taking that out.
Again, you still have boats coming in.
I mean, the good news is this will be floating, and we can just kind of.
Right, and that's why when I say concerns, it's not that I don't think this can work. I don't have concerns that this is.
You're saying
not
I'm asking, do you have a concern not on implementation, saying
the
on
project.
theory? Like if I was gonna wave a magic wand and buy this,
Mhm.
do you have a problem with this design, the way it looks on paper right there? Not the orientation of where it comes off the beach, not the depth, not the height, not the width,
Right,
the physical pieces of material
No.
purchased.
I don't.
But I don't think you, personally, I don't think you could separate the two.
Well, I think for the vote, we're not voting on orientation or exact placement. That comes later. The vote that we would be taking today is, do we move forward with this project with the available funding? And that would be the motion, the question, and the answer. The problem is we have available funding, but we also are under a time crunch. So if the funding becomes available before the next meeting, which is when the second vote would be, then our first vote tonight would be, if the funding were to come available, not at a cost of the board, are we confident moving forward with the project?
If we can do this without coming out of our budget, then I'm fine with it, but I don't know what that happens. So,
Where is the deposit gonna come from? And how much is the deposit gonna be?
I just floated this deposit idea here about 10 seconds ago, so I don't know any more than you guys do.
This is two questions, you know?
So this is what I'm hearing from where I'm sitting. I guess I came into this thinking we were a lot more ready to rock on this idea further along down the road, and it sounds like everybody here is getting real skittish about doing anything, just.
I think that we keep hearing that there's funding in the works, funding in the works, funding in the works, but no one has said what funding is in the works.
Correct. Well, the only funding in the works that we've had so far is
$1,000.
I think before you, my opinion, I think before you rush this through, and if funding is your issue, I think you just table it until the ops meeting, discuss your funding and figure that piece of it out and then move forward.
Yeah, wait till Paul's here.
But there's no way we're gonna be able to waive the second vote on this, right? I mean, this is too much.
Yeah,
I guess technically if the POA is not paying for it, and if it's all donations.
Yeah, if it's all donations,
If it's all donations, we can.
it's not coming out of a budget. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I wanted everybody to be aware that if we delay this, at least starting the process of it, it could delay us to where these numbers aren't our numbers anymore.
Right.
And they've both said that there is hefty price increases coming in 22 because of all the delays, all the shortages, all the everything. So this numbers may not exist and it may cost the community more money by delaying.
Yeah.
So
I would say that if you
Table, yeah.
if you have any questions about study this, if you have any questions about that, bring that to the ops meeting and get that ironed out and then go to work on what you think the funding is going to look like.
Great suggestion.
okay.
Table to ops.
Well, Paul said he had some things in the works, so.
I just texted him and he said, the answer here. Do you have any information on the funding stuff? No.
Okay, all right. I think that answered everything.
That's answered one question.
He might be out to dinner too, so.
I think he is. And this is obviously something else that'll have to be thrown on the agenda, but you had asked me, or somebody asked me to get some pricing from connecting with the docks to where you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of about $11,000 to do that with the price of wood.
And I think that was in the budget.
That's something.
Yeah, that's between
And
building and ground repair and contract services, we got about 58,000 that.
I do have a question, and I know that we need by the pumps, we need to do that. But across the way, it would be useless and a waste of money to build the dock out and around because you could not park a boat there. I've seen 2.5, 3 foot waves come in there up that part. That's why the boat people that got boats over there all have lifts because their boats get beat up
Oh, you're talking about on the other
on
side.
the other side.
This is connecting the, where the gas pump is on around to the point where the floating docks. It is more for stability for the gangway to go to.
Well, the others, they were talking about the other side also.
Yeah.
And that's just a waste of money and time. Because you couldn't put a boat over there no matter what, tide went up.
So I just want to, I'll probably put that on the agenda for the ops meeting to discuss, but that's kind of what you're about looking at. I could probably get creative and shave a little bit of that off by maybe not just diagram it a little different, but that's about what you're looking at. It's about $11,000. Price of lumber is ridiculous.
And that includes driving any,
That Shannon's driving this, the sticks and his labor, the wood, the deck boards. I went with 2x on the deck board, so instead of just a regular deck board, because the other ones are that, just a little bit more stout. It'll be there for a long time.
Gotcha. Well, that's something we can talk about next time. So we will table, do we have to vote to table this?
No.
Just so we know. Okay. Table until next time. New business. A&E fines, John Reed.
Okay. As discussed in the operation meeting, this is put on the new business. We've been talking about this for a couple of months now. And the purpose of this is to put some teeth into people that seem to break the A&E rules. One, failure to obtain a permit prior to the construction or installation of different things requiring a permit as listed in A&E rules. Or 2, construction or installation of things requiring a permit that are built or installed in violation of A&E rules. Or built and installed different from what the A&E committee has approved. That allows the A&E committee to levy fines once it's been determined if someone has violated the rule. A&E has approved it. So
Just to let you know, I was also asked to check with Lisa Ziner with the Putnam County Building and Planning, and also our attorney. First, Lisa Ziner, her first question was who was going to determine the fines. I told her that the office will. She was happy with that. Other than that, she said that there was no concerns on her part. They also have construction fines, $300 for the first offense, $500 for the second offense, and $1,000 for the third offense. And they also issue fines for not getting inspections and continuing with construction. Our attorney come back and just said that he had no problem with it. There were just a little verbiage that he would recommend to change, but as far as the fines itself, he didn't have a problem with.
so looking at this, if they left something for a year, it would be about $450 for the first year, and then
yep.
$600 for the second year. We're doing 150 every 3 months. So if somebody were to come out and build a shed, then that's an expensive shed.
And I stated the last meeting was already 3-4. Were people in violation already? And I think you're aware of a couple of them. So, and so at least this maybe have those people, this would allow for them to actually do something about it. Right now, we hear nothing.
Does this appeal process, does it correspond to the appeal process for?
The vote?
Correct.
Yes.
So the appeal process for the vote also says that you need an affirmative vote of 75% of board members instead of a majority.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
I think that's just the way this was modeled after the vote. And I don't know who put the 75% in there.
Just waiting to see if anybody else is gonna do anything. Do I have a motion for anything, or we just gonna quietly sit here and look at each other?
I would like the motion that we accept the assessment of A&E fines as put forth.
I'll second it.
All
All
those
those
in
in
favor?
favor?
Motion carries.
And that's just the first vote. I think we've got to do this twice, if I'm not mistaken.
Put it on.
No,
Why would you have to do it twice?
that's all I know. So
I think it's because we're rewriting one of the regulations.
this is a whole new regulation, I believe, on A&E. So
Lake rules we voted twice, so.
there is not, this actually isn't a rewrite, so. Because there is nothing on A&E as far as fines and violations.
Was there anything, sorry, we just voted, but, when we started the lake rules, we had to change our bylaws to add a section. Do we need to check with the attorney to see if there's anything that we need to do
And
for
the
that?
bylaws.
I thought the attorney just said that the fines are fine.
Okay, so it's all taken,
He must have approved those.
Just some of the wording.
Yeah, he just felt like he
we
should.
added a section for the fines and the bylaws. I'm just making sure that still covers this.
Is there any reason? Is there any reason why we wouldn't want to have a second one? Or do we want to do it so we can start using them?
I don't think that really matters as much, because I don't think waiting until next month is gonna make too much of a difference. Obviously, we're giving a lot of people the leeway that they don't address it right away.
You can simply just discuss that during the ops meeting anyway and make that decision.
Okay, we'll discuss during the option. Good job, Ken. Now we got to the favorite part of the meeting, open forum. Anybody has any questions, comments, concerns in the audience? Roger.
Yes, we're going to need to be on the one.
I would love to. Would it be all right if we take a vote to add Roger Wright to the long-term planning committee?
Sure.
I would like to make a motion to add Roger Wright to the
Second.
long-term planning committee.
Can we do that if we adjourn?
We're not adjourned, we're still in.
Oh,
Do I get a plaque or anything?
Nope. Nope.
You want a cookie?
I have no need.
Welcome.
Anybody opposed? Okay,
Can I ask a question?
sure.
Do I have to stand and get my name? and
No,
address?
Tom, we love you. Tell us all about
Just I was wondering, does anybody have any update on how the concert committee is doing with the building of the new, I'll use the word pavilion,
I've heard nothing about that.
zero?
I saw they had a new silver sponsor, Anthony's Pizzeria.
So we have no idea about the funds or,
I'm sure we can contact them and get the information.
Carol Bachman was still working, who was kind of heading that up.
Yeah, I think she's in Florida, isn't she?
She is.
She's in Florida.
oh, you don't have to run there.
I know money's rolling in for concert series, but I don't know the number right off the top of my head.
For the pavilion or
No, concert series, I don't know how it divides out.
Your Murphy.
We just goes into concert series, so however she's got that in.
If I know Carol, it's gonna happen.
One way or the other.
I don't know where it stands, but I'd almost bet my sweet Bippy it's gonna happen.
Pretty much. Anybody else? Anything at all? Going once? Going twice?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Insert.
Adjourn. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Land speed record.
Oh, I thought the last option.